So, you want to keep your computer private, huh? Tired of the prying eyes of Bill Gates, Mark the Zuck, and John Google? Well, look no further. Today, I'm going to give you a definitive breakdown on how to keep your computer private and secure. And before you privacy heads come at me for not telling people to use Qubes OS or send their mails with messenger birds, I want to make a disclaimer that this guide is made for people who want to have privacy on their computer without sacrificing any convenience. Essentially, following the tips from this video is a win-win. So turn off your lights, slip into something comfortable, and put on your anonymous mask, because this is the definitive guide on how to have privacy and security online. The first part is choosing an operating system. Now, there are a lot of operating systems out there, but you're probably using Windows or Mac OS. I personally use Mac OS. It has software that I use on a daily basis like Final Cut Pro for video editing and Photo Booth to see if I'm still good looking. However, with 75% of all desktop PCs using Windows, I think it's safe to say that you are also using Windows. Now, as far as gaming goes, Windows is great. You get to play all the latest games like Hunipop, Together B&B, and Hentai vs. Furries? What the fuck? However, when it comes to privacy, Windows is not the greatest. But I think we already know that. Thankfully, we can use software like ONO Shutup 10 to turn off a lot of these anti-privacy features. Now, going into the nitty-gritty of how to use this piece of software will be much bigger in scope than what I want from this video, but I do have links of guides in the description. Moving on to macOS, we do have a little better privacy. Apple is a little more transparent with how it uses your data, and it doesn't have as many intrusive features as Windows. However, it isn't perfect. First of all, there are still parts of your data that Apple takes which are questionable, and macOS, and Windows for that matter, is closed source software. That means that we can't actually see what's going on behind the scenes of the operating system because Apple is not giving that information out to the public. So, when it comes to macOS, we're basically at the mercy of Steve Jobs and his operating system. Finally, we have Linux. Linux is what many privacy advocates would call a godsend. Linux not only has endless customization, is less vulnerable to malware, lightweight, and has a cute little penguin as its mascot. It's also FOSS. That means free and open source. Linux is by design made to empower users, and although it may be a little daunting to try out a whole new operating system, there are many versions of Linux, known as distros, and Windows users can feel right at home with ones like Zorin OS or my personal favorite, Linux Mint. So if you're not a gamer and you don't use software that's exclusive to your operating system, then give Linux a try. The second part is essential software. So you'll honestly want to have as little software on your device as possible. However, there are a few good FOSS software that will actually increase your privacy and security. For example, a password manager like Bitwarden will make your accounts more secure by randomly generating a secure password for you. And a VPN, like today's sponsor. I'm just kidding. Like ExpressVPN, NordVPN, or my personal favorite, Mullvad VPN. These will all prevent your internet service provider from seeing all the sins that you are committing every night. Aside from that, it's also a good practice to have replaced proprietary software that you are already using with free and open source alternatives. Things like switching from Gmail to ProtonMail, Google.com to DuckDuckGo.com, and GIMP instead of Photoshop. Of course, this may be too much of a cost to your convenience, so change and download whatever works for you. Websites like privacytools.io and alternative2.com do make the job of finding alternative software much easier, and both websites are in the description. Not to be mistaken for internet browser. Your internet browser is probably where you're going to be spending most of your time on your computer, so it would make sense to want to keep it as private and as secure as possible. There are many browsers to choose from. Most people use Chrome, but that's not really privacy safe. Opera is more or less the same and really has nothing of value, and if you're using Edge or Safari, then you're just lazy. So when it comes down to which browser you should use, there really is only one answer: AOL Explorer. No, the real answer is Firefox. Like Linux, Firefox is also seen as a sort of gift from the internet gods, or more specifically, David Haidt. However, Firefox is in many ways very similar to Linux in terms of its design philosophies. Lots of customization, lightweight, and most importantly, FOSS. However, Firefox doesn't come out of the box secure, and you will want to get some browser extensions. You don't need to go too crazy, but downloading uBlock Origin and HTTPS Everywhere are great to start off with. Other than that, I have a video linked by The Hated One, a great channel that breaks down on how to make Firefox truly private. And that's that. Today you learned about operating systems, free and open source software, useful browser extensions. I could have talked about other things such as the dark web, however, unless you're literally being hunted down by a government, or just like looking at websites that are dead, scams, host viruses, or are honeypots by the government, then I don't really see any value in getting into any detail about such topics. If you want to get a more in-depth guide on how to keep your privacy safe, I'm currently selling a short ebook called Anonymous's Guide to Online Privacy on Amazon, and you can get it now for only $1.99. Other than that, this is Benham signing off.